I'm not going to name who it is, but it was on local radio in Knoxville. And I heard somebody say that 2025 was the year. Why in the world would you say that? To me, it's always been a 4-year plan. At times, it's been a 3-year plan. Guys haven't even gotten that long. You have 4 years to churn everybody into your system. Why is 2025 the year in some people's minds instead of 2024?
Because people, without having already played for something, are always scared to take the leap of a program, not realizing that at some point you're no longer rebuilding. You're done. You're done rebuilding. And you can't be rebuilding forever. It's an old excuse that fans do. You've seen it, Dave, that fans do. Like when their team loses, like, and is just not having the season they wanted, all of a sudden it's, oh, we're young and, things will be back next year. Oh, you're always young. You're always young. You're always going to be better next year. Guys, there's always next year, and eventually you have to say next year should be this year. Tennessee's in its 4th season with Josh Heupel. They have the generational quarterback who we all think is generational. I'm not saying they have to go win a national title this year, but if they're not already in the mix, as in the mix as they'll ever be, then they're never going to be in the mix. You should always be in the mix by your 4th year. And to give you a quick example and history lesson on this, funny enough, Dave, remember Buzz Peterson? We all do, Tennessee basketball. When he got fired after 4 years on the job, he got fired. He did an interview about 3 years later, and he said, I just thought I should have stayed another year. And he said, because my whole plan was to build the program in the future around Tyler Smith. He was supposed to be the guy to turn around the program. Really, a 4-star power forward, your 5th year on the job, was going to be the guy to turn around your program. That was your plan. That was your grand long-term plan for Tennessee basketball, was to get a 4-star power forward your 5th year on the job. And
with a penchant for unregistered guns.
Yes, exactly. So it was just so laughable to hear that. And I'm like, Butch Jones, the wheels fell off because he underachieved his 4th year. If your 4th year, you're not delivering, I'm sorry, you're not going to deliver. I mean, I'm not a part of a 5-year plan, guy. That does not mean you have to win a championship by your 4th year. But you got to be in the mix by your 4th year. I'm sorry, you do.
Yep. I agree with that. I think that 2024 will be the year. I'll ask you on the message board, no Coop, no 2025. That's a good point. So Bison Lang or somebody had better be ready. I think that you're right on the media side of it, because let's face it, Tennessee's burned the media twice already. 2 out of the 3 years with Josh Heupel. Nobody thought Tennessee was going to be a 10-win season in 2022, correct?
Correct.
And then everybody got on board. You and I were telling people that Joe Milton had limitations in August, but nobody wanted to listen, and that's fine. And we wish the best for him, but it didn't work out. So the media got burned again because Tennessee underachieved. I don't think they want to get burned again. And I think this is the safe way out. If you pick them to win a championship like you have, and you've gone out on a limb, and it's not for show and promotional sorts of things, and Caleb and I talk off the air, and that's important to me that we're genuine with you each and every day at 10 a.m. Hit like and subscribe. And I think you've taken the leap because of Nico. And I understand the curiosities there, but man, I don't know what more reporting has to be done by various people that have seen Nico play, and by people that have talked to people within that program. I consider myself one of them. There are others. I totally think he's for real. So maybe that's the one thing. If you look at it and you say, oh, he'll be in his 2nd year as a starter, I guess that's the argument, right?
But that doesn't hold water when you look at the history of quarterbacks the last 15 years.
I'm not arguing it. I'm saying that's them arguing.
Yeah, that shows also a blatant misunderstanding of Josh Heupel's offense. You don't have to have experience starting in this system. If you've been working in it for a year, it's pretty easy to figure out. So
exactly. I'll give you an example. Okay. You know who would have been perfect for Josh Heupel's offense? Absolutely perfect, and could have stepped in and started his first year in the program. Well, I'm going to tell you, it is Cam Newton.
Yes.
Okay. So Cam Newton wouldn't need any time to learn this offense. Maybe there are some offenses that are so complicated you'd have to sit a year, even as a junior college, fully developed, physically transfer. No,
I
don't
agree.
think this offense is like that. I think you would learn that from January to August and be ready to roll. And I think that's a heck of an out if something were to happen with one of Tennessee's quarterbacks. I think they're good with Nico, but I don't know about Mecklenburg or the other guys. Merklinger.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's funny because Cam Newton, literally, I mean, he has a great deep ball. He's got touch over the middle. I mean, he's not that accurate, but he's athletic, and accuracy, like deadly, like pinpoint accuracy is the least important thing for a quarterback in Heupel's offense. Is that fair to say? You don't need it really that much. Now, you can't be as bad as Joe Milton was accuracy wise.
Sure.
But you doesn't have to be pinpoint.
If you give me that disclaimer, I'll roll with you on that. How about that?
Okay. That you don't have to be as inaccurate as Joe Milton.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to pile on. We've been accused of that, but I don't want to do that. But I do think that is something you have to be aware of. You can't be that far off the table, but I don't think that Josh Heupel is going to recruit anybody that is that far off the table. And I also will give him credit for the fact that he's able to say, hey, I'm going to pull the trigger on this guy in January, so he gets an opportunity elsewhere. And he's run off some guys. Who are the quarterbacks he's run off, Caleb?
Well, so the first year he ran off Harrison Bailey and Brian Maurer and dismissed Kadon Salter because Kadon Salter was getting in trouble. And then he ran off Taven Jackson the year later.
I can tell you that one of those players reached out to me via Twitter and said that it was cryptic, but I asked the question, are you still a VFL if you leave the program? And he messaged back in a direct message and said, what if you were asked to leave? Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. 5 years ago, that was a bad thing before the transfer portal. You would absolutely bruise, if not destroy, your reputation as a recruiter. But that's no longer the case. Caleb, you can do that now, and guys can play somewhere immediately.
Yes, you're right. And also Heupel does it in a way that I think is fair. I mean, Heupel tells them early, like, look, you're probably not going to play here. Now, I know the person you're talking about, he probably never planned to play and just wanted to keep the scholarship. I'm just going to be honest with you. And I don't blame him for that either. But I will say that, yeah, the quarterback situation, when he has his guy, I think he's very fair to push the other guy out into the portal. I'm also going to say this. With this the reason I'm bullish on Heupel in Tennessee this year, again, it's not that they have to win the national championship. It's this. If you don't think they're in the mix this year, they're never going to be in the mix. How can you believe in Josh Heupel and how can you believe in Nico Iamaleava but think they won't be able to compete for a title this year? Then you don't believe in them. It's you're lying to yourself. If you believe in them, because what they're all telling is, we love Josh Heupel, we love Nico, we think they're great, they're very good. You know, Nico's going to be a great quarterback. But next year's a year. Why? If you believe in them, then this should be the year not to win a national title, but at least be in the mix.
Now, I want to offer this up. Despite losing Cooper Mays, I think Tennessee will be better in 2025 than 2024 because I think the recruiting and the talent have continued to take an upward trajectory. So I think they'll be better, but I don't think that means that they're not ready to be champions in 2024.
I think they'll be more talented in 2024 or in 2025. I think they'll be better in 2024. I think 2024, there's a chemistry factor with this team, particularly offensively, particularly with Cooper Mays, who you brought up, and particularly with the leader like Amari Thomas and Keenan Pili, that I think that there's a Michigan factor to go along with this Heupel offense this year.
Yes.
That I think people are underrating.
Yes. And we'll see how Mecklenburg, the linebacker from the Cleveland Browns, does at one point, as various names jump into my head. It happens when you get older. Sorry about that, guys.